What's your greatest, most satisfying I freaking called it moment? Kept finding small cut up straws in my grandma's bathroom. So many straws. I let my grandmother know that someone is using her bathroom to use drugs. She freaks out saying I'm accusing her of using drugs and that it's impossible. A year later my uncle divorces his wife due to her cocaine addiction. Grandma says well Kay always stopped by in the afternoon to use the restroom and then she would clean my whole house and I just didn't think anything of it. My favorite story at Thanksgiving. Dude at work had been complaining about his crazy girlfriend and her problems. 2 weeks later he is talking about how she is pregnant. In my head I'm thinking, she is going to lose the baby because it isn't real. Sure enough, he comes in all sad about just over 2 more weeks later saying she had a miscarriage. Some time passed and he's complaining about her crazy antics again. My mom and sister used to be obsessed with John and Amp, Kate plus 8 and I told them that they would end up getting divorced. When they announced the divorce my mom and sister were devastated but I couldn't help rubbing it in their faces. There used to be a show called Tales from the Dark Side. I was watching it with my brother. The episode started with a female hiker who was lost and was taken in by an old couple. About 5 minutes into the episode I said, the old people are going to cook and eat the young lady. Brother thought I was crazy. End of the episode was the young lady in the hot tube and the old people were bringing it up to boil and adding in vegetables and turning her into a soup. My wife was watching some TV show. I happened to walk in during some scene in which it was raining out, and a guy and a gal were looking at each other through their car windows as their kid went from one car to the other. I said here comes the scene where they make up without knowing any of the background of the show. My wife started telling me that it won't happen. They had had a failed relationship years earlier, hence the kid, and the woman was with a great guy. Right after she said that, the woman got out and ran to the guy's car basically professing her love for him. When a penny stock I bought around $0.03 share blew up to over $3. My only regret is not buying a lot more shares. Edit. For those asking, here's my take based on my very limited experience with penny stocks. You can usually buy penny stock through your typical broker. You must be particularly wary of penny stocks because they can be subject to the phenomenon of pump and dump. One or more people, likely those who have stake in whatever company is offering penny stock, hype it up and hope that people will buy. As the price creeps up, those stakeholders may decide to sell and thus reap the rewards, while those who naively assume going long is best will hold on to that stock with hopes that it'll blow up. The number of penny stock failures I've invested in far outnumbers the successes. Like I've bought hundreds of thousands of shares of stock less than $0.01 share. And seen it basically become valueless as the stakeholders have presumably sold their stake before the per share price hits the toilet. It's extremely hit or miss, to say the least. I had a friend who bought $2,000 worth of a penny stock and share prices went up by a factor of 10. So he had $20,000 worth of this stock in less than 1 week. He called me to basically brag about how smart he was for finding this great stock. I congratulated him and strongly advised him, multiple times, to cash out at least $2,000. I suggested $5,000. That would leave him with 3/4 or more of his original shares and he would be playing with house money. If the stock continued shooting up he would be filthy rich either way. But if the shares tanked in value then at least he wouldn't be out any money. Not only did he not listen to me, he invested more and lost absolutely all of it. I found out later that all the money he invested, $10,000, was actually from a loan he had taken out to try his hand in the stock market. If I had known that I would have been even more adamant about cashing out. Imagine paying off a $10,000 loan in a week and still having $10K in the bank. But I don't think he would have listened to me no matter what I said. Just a funny anecdote, in the midst of this, he gave his mom a birthday card that contained a single dollar bill and he wrote inside this is the first of millions. My friend is an idiot. I watched Saw 2 in the theater with some friends in high school. I hadn't seen the first one, and didn't know anything about it. But about half an hour into the movie, I told my friends that Amanda was working with Jigsaw. They all said no way, and told me that it wasn't possible and I just didn't understand cause I hadn't seen the first one. When that twist got revealed, They were glaring daggers at me, and I was giving them the biggest told you so smile I could. Obviously not the most satisfying, but watching Family Feud and correctly calling the last answer makes me feel accomplished. Following a car with its left turn signal on for 2 miles. The driver kept slowing at side streets as if to make a left turn, but didn't actually turn. I looked over at my daughter and said, "Watch, they'll make a right turn." Fricking called it. Yes, they were still signaling left when they made the right turn. Probably not the only one, but I was watching Seven for the first time and my mom was eagerly watching me as I reacted to the movie. She lost her it when I said, "Is that Kevin Spacey?" during the phone call scene. She couldn't believe I recognized his voice and figured out who it was before the big reveal. I'm obviously not the only one to have guessed, but it was satisfying watching her reaction. My husband is super medically fragile. He's had cancer twice and a bone marrow transplant in the last 9 years. A few years ago he had surgery on his wrist and I had a gut feeling he was brewing an infection despite being on antibiotics. His surgeon's office saw him and switched ABX. I contacted the cancer center because I just knew it was going to become more. They blew me off and punted back to the surgeon's office. I knew this was beyond the surgeon's scope. I pitched a tantrumy fit and pretty much told them they were going to see them and I wasn't accepting no for an answer. The Tridge phone nurse was condescending and telling me it was probably nothing and could wait. We got to the clinic and the nurse there started looking around the incision site. She told me that she believed my gut and pushed to admit him. The CT showed a huge infection that landed him in the hospital for a week on potent IV antibiotics with another surgery to clean out the site. Boyfriend's best friend, let's call him John, started asking me for favors and texting me at odd hours of the night. Felt uneasy about John's actions and informed my boyfriend every time I was contacted as soon as it happened. I explained to boyfriend that John was acting suspiciously and making me uncomfortable, but I couldn't pinpoint why. Cut to a month or so later, John claims I cheated on my boyfriend with John. I freaking knew it. Disclaimer, I didn't do anything with John. About a year after my father's death, my mother got together with a man. I felt as if something was off from the start and told her that he doesn't seem right and that he was going to do something stupid and hurt her emotionally. A year later they got engaged and they seemed happy. I've never seen my mother so happy since before my father died. Well, as of yesterday, it came out that this man has been engaged to someone else since before my mother met him and that he has been sleeping with at least 2 other women on a regular basis. Wish I could tell her that I had freaking called it, but I'm afraid it will make her more upset. Anyways, now to build my revenge plan. Wish me luck. In high school, my best friend's little sister, 16 at the time, brought home her new 18-year-old BF from work to meet the family. I was over at the time and talked to him for a while because we were the same age. After meeting him, something was off. I got the impression that 1. He was much older than claiming to had been in jail. I wound up saying something to my friend, who told his parents and sister. Long story short, the family freaked out on my for spreading rumors that weren't true, telling me to mind my own business, etc. 2 years later, the sister comes home from a date with him in tears. He finally came out and admitted to her that 1. He was 30, not the now 20 he was saying. 2. He had spent 2 years in prison, but refused to say for what. I was very quick to point out to the family how I called this years earlier and was basically shamed out of their house. Edit. Rather than responding to everyone's comments, I figured it was easier to add an edit on a few things. 1. I'm really not sure how the family didn't immediately pick up he was a lot older. I can only venture to guess and would rather not speculate. Also, this was before the time of being able to Google someone and look up their records too. I'm still close with my friend and his family. There was a point later on where I got a G. Maybe we should have listened to you. 3. I have no clue what he was in jail for. Still don't know. 4. For those who called me insensitive for pointing out I was right almost immediately. I was 20, had previously taken a lot of grief for calling this out and it wasn't exactly let go quickly on their end. Co-worker made a very unethical, behind closed doors deal with another company, and he was an agency resource, not even a full employee of my company. After months, I spoke up about something being fishy, and concerns of pre-committing purchasing, etc. My apathetic boss ignores me, all while co-worker secures a job at the other company to work on the project that he set up with my company. Fast forward a year later, now they are citing that project as a pre-commit for service. Wisdom never tasted so sour. Did this deal involve Outback Steakhouse gift certificates? My wife and I went to Red Lobster one day. My wife likes the shrimp and lobster pasta with Parmesan cheese. They sat her plate down. She got a weird look on her face. She told me it smelled weird. It smelled normal to me. I straight up asked her if she could be pregnant. Her eyes got wide as she starts doing some math in her head. We went afterwards and got a pregnancy test. Sure enough, she didn't even know yet. All because I remember some random tidbit about some food smelling off to pregnant women. One of the old coaches from the Chicago Bears is Mark Trestman. I told everyone that he would not make it to the third year of his contract. He would get fired after the second season. I made a $500 bet with my dad because I was that damn sure. Soon as the news broke, I called him and told him I prefer cash over check. I don't care if they are up 28-3. They are the Falcons. They'll blow it somehow. That's all for today's video. Hope you guys liked it. If you liked the video, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, the best thing you can do is simply watch the videos. But if you really want to see the channel thrive, subscribe, like, comment, add to favorites, add to playlist, and share with friends. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Reddit and Insta. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you with tomorrow's upload.